Has the basketball universe finally lost its mind? Or is there a hidden story lurking behind every jaw-dropping headline? That's the question echoing around the NBA right now, as fans struggle to come to terms with a move nobody, absolutely nobody, expected to see in their lifetimes. Luka Doncic, the 26-year-old superstar many thought would carry the Dallas Mavericks for the next decade, has been shipped off to the Los Angeles Lakers in a blockbuster package for Anthony Davis and future considerations. It's the kind of trade that makes some fans storm off in disbelief while others scramble to refresh their phones, searching for an April Fool's label on the press release. But no, this is apparently real, and the ripple effects are bigger than one might imagine. Because despite the swirling rumors of injury concerns and reported behind-the-scenes friction, Luka had seemed like the ultimate franchise cornerstone, one of those once-in-a-generation players who can single-handedly rewrite a team's history. So how did we get here? Why would the Mavericks part ways with a 6'7" marvel who had just electrified the league with unstoppable scoring and must-see performances in the postseason? There are more questions than answers, but the puzzle pieces are starting to come together. By the end of this story, one thing will be clear. The NBA's unwritten rules for team loyalty, superstar treatment, and long-term planning may have just been tossed out the window. If you'd polled even the most imaginative fans a year ago, those folks who predict outlandish trades on social media for fun, almost no one would have said, Luka Doncic is going to the Lakers. Maybe a few contrarians might have thrown it out there just to stir the pot, but for Dallas to actually do it? That was akin to trading your prized sports car for a classic model that spent more time in the repair shop than on the open road. Yet here we are. According to credible reports, the deal is done. Luka Doncic plus Maxi Kleber and Markieff Morris, all heading to Hollywood in exchange for Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a 2029 first-round pick. Utah's even involved, adding a third layer of complexity to the transaction. On paper, that might not sound so bad for someone who only watches highlight reels and occasionally checks the standings. After all, Davis is a big name, a star with a championship ring. But scratch beneath the surface and it quickly becomes apparent this move is about more than just swapping top-tier talent. In today's NBA, you simply don't trade someone like Luka unless you're forced to, or you're trying to torch your entire blueprint for reasons unknown. Cornerstone stars in their prime do get moved occasionally, but typically under dire circumstances. Contract disputes, irreparable front office drama, or the player publicly demanding an exit. Was Luka outraged enough behind the scenes to jump ship? Did the Mavs fear future injuries more than they valued future championships? Rumors point to some friction around his conditioning, his rumored discontent with certain roster moves, and whispers he wasn't taking off-season training as seriously as the team wanted. But come on, this is Luka Doncic. Even if he's a little out of shape from time to time, you live with that because the payoff can be enormous. One half-court three-pointer or unstoppable spin move in the lane, and any concerns about a few extra pounds suddenly vanish, which is precisely why so many Mavs faithful and NBA observers are left scratching their heads. Trading a generational star in his mid-20s almost never happens unless there's irredeemable turmoil. And by all accounts, no such meltdown was widely reported. Only hushed speculation about Luka's intense personality clashing with certain team operations. Now, some folks will say, hey, the Mavs are getting Anthony Davis. But let's be honest, AD is a fantastic player when he's healthy, an MVP caliber talent who can dominate both ends of the floor. The big question is how long he'll stay on that floor. His track record with injuries is well known and he's on the wrong side of 30. So from a pure asset standpoint, Dallas is relinquishing a once-in-a-generation star for someone older, more fragile, and quite possibly overvalued based on the fleeting glimpses of unstoppable brilliance he shows between injuries. If that's not unthinkable, I don't know what is. When Mark Cuban bought the Dallas Mavericks back in 2000, the team was already on the rise thanks to a gangly German forward named Dirk Nowitzki. Cuban's youthful energy and Dirk's silky smooth shooting seemed like the perfect partnership. A brash new owner who loved the spotlight, and a future legend whose game spoke louder than his soft-spoken demeanor off the court. Over time, Cuban openly admitted that in his early days as an owner, he was so caught up in the excitement of the moment. Flashing lights, cameras, the thrill of making big decisions, that he sometimes forgot to stop and truly appreciate Dirk's nightly excellence. But eventually, Dirk's brilliance became impossible to overlook. One MVP award, a legendary 2011 championship, and countless playoff heroics later, he emerged not just as the best Maverick ever, but the ultimate one-team superstar. Cuban watched all of that unfold and made it a personal mission to never again take a homegrown megastar for granted. So when Luka Doncic came along, an international prodigy and the NBA's next big thing, Cuban appeared determined to avoid repeating any perceived mistakes from the Dirk era. He showered Luka with praise, gave him the keys to the franchise, and talked about building around him for years to come. In the eyes of many fans, Luka was the spiritual successor to Dirk. They shared an international background, a mesmerizing array of offensive skills, and a calm, confident flair on the court that never seemed forced or artificial. It felt like the baton had been passed from one European legend to another. So, for the Mavs to trade Luka of all people is more than just a typical basketball transaction. It flies in the face of that vow Cuban made, or so we all thought. Every discussion about this trade eventually circles back to the memory of Dirk's departure from the league in 2019, when the organization pulled out all the stops to honor its beloved star. Mavs fans had barely recovered from the emotional farewell before quickly turning their attention to a new era with Luka. Now, that era is being snatched away in the blink of an eye. Sure, Cuban might argue that times have changed, that the modern NBA is more cutthroat, and that a combination of factors, maybe front office differences, maybe medical concerns, forced the team's hand. But that doesn't erase the heartbreak or the confusion. Because if there was a single guiding principle Dallas fans counted on, it was that Luka Doncic would be a Maverick for life, just like Dirk. Apparently, that dream was more fragile than anyone realized. Lakers fans like to joke that their front office keeps a giant neon sign outside the arena reading, "Are you a superstar who wants a new home? Apply here." Time and time again, this franchise has defied the odds to acquire the best names in basketball. Wilt Chamberlain forced his way from Philadelphia. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar left Milwaukee. Shaquille O'Neal jumped ship from Orlando. Anthony Davis made no secret of his desire to go from New Orleans to LA. And now, as if working some cosmic magnetism, here comes Luka Doncic. It's a pattern that's almost unfair to other teams. The Lakers' glamour, history, and location seem to converge into a perfect trifecta that few organizations can match. When you add in a front office that's unafraid to take massive swings, you get a franchise that perpetually resets its championship clock by nabbing top-tier talent. Some folks have said that if an alien star basketball player landed on Earth, the Lakers would somehow find a way to sign him within a year. One truth remains. Trades like this don't just reshape rosters, they reshape narratives, legacies, and the very soul of a franchise. Mavs fans now live with the gut-punch reality that the next time Luka Doncic pulls off one of his signature step-back daggers or orchestrates a mesmerizing triple-double, it'll be for the purple and gold. And that's a twist ending no one saw coming. Whether this radical move leads to new glory or endless regrets, it's clear the NBA's unpredictability just soared to a new level. The dust might settle, but the questions it leaves behind will echo for years. Has Dallas sacrificed its brightest star for a shot in the dark? Only time, and perhaps a little luck, will tell. But what does the future hold for Luka himself? The idea of him teaming up in Los Angeles opens endless possibilities, and it's also a storyline bursting with potential drama. Will Lakers fans embrace him the way Dallas fans did? Will he thrive under the lights of Hollywood, or could the weight of those expectations become too heavy? One thing is for sure, that this roller coaster has no signs of slowing down anytime soon.